I don't have one person that I really look up to and want to be like. But what I do have is I love the character arc and the story arc of someone that goes from nothing to, from zero to hero, I would say. And one thing that I've done since childhood and still remains is that I read a lot of comics where you have the story of someone that started from nothing, from being in a suppressed minority, for example, and then coming to power, creating something for themselves and the ones that are around them. And that story arc is one of those things that I get fed, pursue, and listens to or read on a recurring basis. That gives one of the intrinsic motivations and inspirations that I personally need. How can I achieve that for myself? How can I be a force for good? How can I help the ones that are around me? And I don't think a lot of people know that about me. That I probably read a bit too much comics, but it is one of the things that at least I find inspiration and motivation in.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just want to address the flip side of it. That can be idealistic, that can be inspirational, that can help you go through the tough times. But is there a flip side of it? Because like you could also say like that's illusion, or real life doesn't work that way. So does that create a perception which is then shattered by the real world? And then how do you deal with that?
I don't think I really experienced that the perception or the belief that something could happen is shattered by reality. It would be more that when I'm stressed, I see comics maybe a bit too much. I use it as a procrastination thing rather than something that just is a positive. Again, everything has a positive and negative, and if this has come to some degree become in stressful times, a soothing activity to pursue, and maybe a bit too much in certain periods.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, just like you're talking about the story arc, can you share maybe like not just like a celebrity, but somebody whom you have seen who has had a story arc, who had been an inspiration or a driving force for you to do what you're doing today?
Obviously, there's the cliches of the biggest people in the industry currently, but I think it's a difficult one. You're asking the difficult questions, but again, that's a bit of the role that you have. I think there are a few that inspires me, but they're very niche into the industry that I'm coming from, that I'm in, and where I'm going. I think one is, there is this guy called Sam Ovens that in probably close to 10 years ago, he launched a company called consulting.com. And it became what still, I believe, was the biggest, let's say, course and educational platform for people to become a consultant. His arc was fairly interesting because he started out as someone that was just doing telephone sales to starting his own agency, very small scale local companies, scaled that to a level where he started to teach it to someone else. Became a phenomenal success in teaching and helping others, which I also really enjoy. And then he transitioned out and into software, where he can then focus on what he really enjoys, which is creating something that someone else benefits from, instead of just being stuck on the hamster wheel of delivering let's say a coaching service. And just a transition of starting from something, creating something that helps, to then transition to what I would call leveling up the business model and the framework that they operate from. That's interesting. I remember I had a whiteboard on my wall 3 years ago, and I drew the same type of, let's say, ladders that he went through.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.